Hey, it's Ev. This is a video about trans people and gender stereotypes because I've noticed a lot of people have a misconception, and in this video I'm going to use trans men as the example because I'm a trans man and that's my experience, obviously. But yeah, people have the misconception that we just transition and that we're just trans because we conform more to masculine stereotypes. Like, we like football, we like blue, we like beer, so we think, well, those are masculine, so I must be a man. And also clothing, like they think because we like clothes that are from the men's section, that's why we think we're trans, that's why we transition. As if we're just confused and aren't aware that women can wear clothes from the men's section too. Sometimes people aren't hating on trans people and they just sort of don't understand, and they say, so did you transition because you're manly, because you like masculine hobbies and stuff like that? But a lot of the time it's transphobes and TERFs, and they say, you like blue, that's why you transitioned, you're just confused, you're a confused lesbian, you're not really a man, you're just playing into stereotypes. So yeah, trans men like me, they think we look at our lives and think, wow, I like football, I don't like makeup, I don't like pink sparkly dresses, I do like wearing jeans and t-shirts, therefore I am a man. That is really not the case, that's not why we think we're trans, that's not why we transition. That's not what we base our gender on. One big thing that probably plays into them thinking this is that, yeah, trans men and boys do tend to lean more towards the masculine side of things. But what they fail to acknowledge is, so do cis men and boys. We live in a society where gender roles are very prominent. Cisgender children at a very young age pick up on stereotypes and gender norms. So it really wouldn't make sense to expect trans boys not to pick up on these things as well, because we're in society as well. The majority of cis guys do not like wearing pink sparkly dresses, but some do. The majority of trans guys do not like wearing pink sparkly dresses, but some do. I'll talk a bit about the ones that do later on, but now focusing on the ones that don't. Just because they don't like feminine clothing, that doesn't mean that is the basis of their gender. Often it's actually the other way around, and we use these stereotypes to express our already existent identities. Society says pink sparkly dresses are for girls and women. We're taught this from a very young age. So if we know ourselves not to be girls and women, usually we're not going to want to wear them, because we're living in the same society. Masculine things are things that are more associated with men. So just like cis men usually tend to conform to masculinity, usually trans men do too. We know we're men, so usually, but not always, we express this by dressing more masculine. And maybe by taking up more masculine hobbies, maybe changing our names to something more masculine. That's all gender expression. But that does not mean that our gender expression is what we're basing our genders on. It's the other way around. Sometimes trans men might dress or act a certain way to try to help them to pass better so that other people read them as male, because being called feminine pronouns and stuff like that makes them feel dysphoric. Also, sometimes trans guys, before they even know they're trans, they just know that something's up, and they just try and express it by maybe acting really masculine, dressing masculine, to try and express how they feel, even if they don't fully understand yet how they actually feel. Other times, we just dress more masculine, wear clothes from the men's section, because we just prefer it, we like it, and we're going to wear the clothes that we like. Obviously everyone would rather wear clothes they like than clothes that they don't like, they don't want to wear. Why? Yeah. Personally, I'm a trans man, and in many ways I'm quite gender non-conforming. I don't really fit in with or hang around with other men, I don't have any desire to. I have stereotypical feminine hobbies and interests, like cheerleading. I can't think of a single masculine hobby or interest I have. I hate football, cars, or things that are stereotypical men's things. I just have no interest, so that doesn't bother me. I don't feel the need to fit in with other men. I don't care if I walk femininely or act or talk with my hands, have feminine mannerisms. I wear women's perfumes, I wear pink fluffy socks. The only masculine stereotypes I really conform to is like having short hair, which genuinely I would like to have long hair, but my hair is just so thick and annoying, I just get sick of it and cut it off. And I wear masculine clothes. Yeah, I wear clothes. Like 95% of the clothes I wear are from the men's section of shops. And that really is just because I prefer them. I'm going to wear the clothes that I like. But then even that gets held against me. If I'm trying to explain to someone that no, I do not think I'm a man because masculine stereotypes apply to me more, actually, feminine stereotypes apply to me more, they will then turn around to me and say, oh, so it's just a coincidence that you wear men's jeans and t-shirts? Clearly that is the basis of your gender identity. But what exactly do you expect? Do you expect me to walk around 24/7 wearing pink sparkly dresses to prove to you in some roundabout way that I really am a man because I'm wearing women's clothes, so obviously I'm not basing my gender on my clothing? I like clothes like this, so I'm just going to wear clothes like this. But then also, if trans men are even slightly feminine, or even slightly not masculine enough, that's also held against us. If I talk with my hands, people say, you really expect us to believe you're a man when you're that feminine? But then if I'm slightly masculine, they say, you really expect us to believe you're a man when you're that masculine? Clearly, you're basing your gender on masculine stereotypes. The majority of trans guys did at some point live as tomboys, as masculine girls and women. So believe it or not, we are actually aware that you could be a girl and not wear dresses. We do not think that means we have to transition. Also, don't you think we see women in society that are more masculine? Obviously we're aware that that's an option, but that's just not who we are. From what I've seen as well, trans men are a lot more open to being gender non-conforming themselves, or to accepting and supporting other people being gender non-conforming compared to cis men. It is very widely acknowledged in the trans community that you don't need to be hyper-masculine to be a man. You can be feminine, you can wear makeup, you can wear what you want. Gender isn't based on your expression. And even when it comes to the trans men that are very feminine and that are very comfortable in their femininity, wear makeup, that will wear clothing from the women's section, they still get told that they're basing their gender on masculine stereotypes. I've had people say to me, liking football and blue does not make you a man. And then I will say, I'm a cheerleader and I like pink. And then they will say, liking football and blue does not make you a man. It's the same with the confused lesbian thing. If I get called a confused lesbian, I will say, but I like men. And then they will just repeat that I'm a confused lesbian. And I will ask them, do lesbians like men? And then they will just keep repeating that I'm a confused lesbian. If I was basing my gender on stereotypes, I would 100% think I'm a woman. Feminine stereotypes apply to me so much more than masculine stereotypes. But still people are telling me that I'm basing my gender on the fact that masculine stereotypes apply to me. Doesn't make any sense. People also say, well, if you're not basing your gender on stereotypes, then explain your gender to me. They say explain how you feel like a man. But being a man isn't an emotion. I didn't wake up one day and feel man the same way you wake up and feel happy, or the same way you might be sat there and feel quite relaxed. It's not an emotion, it's not really a feeling. To figure out my gender identity, I had to think about it constantly for over a year and make lists in my head of all the signs and all the things that come into it. If I had to put it all into words, it would be like hundreds of pages. How I feel about certain things does come into it, yeah. Something else that came into it was me thinking about, could this be something else? Could there be other reasons for me feeling this way? I had to even think to myself, is this just about stereotypes? Could I just be a masculine woman? And I realised, no, I'm not, so I can't be. I could never be a woman if I wanted to be. So when people ask me to explain my gender as if I could just write out a sentence of how I know I'm a man, that's just not going to happen. It's not possible. I didn't wake up one day and think, I feel man because X. It's not that simple. Even with things that are emotions and that are more simple, explaining to someone that's never felt relaxed what relaxed feels like would be quite hard. So simplifying and making it really easy to understand my year-long process of figuring out my gender no, I'm never going to be able to put that into one sentence for you, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And it's okay if you don't fully understand that, and you can never understand, I don't really expect you to. But one thing that is pretty easy to understand is me saying, I am not basing my gender on the clothes I like, or masculinity versus femininity. That's not what this is. It's quite easy to understand that. So yeah, trans men, they can be masculine and they're still men. They can be feminine and they're still men. They can be quite neutral or a mixture of everything. They're still men. Gender expression, gender stereotypes, gender norms, those obviously come into the conversation. They are a part of the topic of gender, but our gender identities are not based on our clothes and hobbies and interests and what colours we like. And 99.9999999% of the time, we are aware that liking blue does not make someone a man. I've never come across anyone that thinks that, so you don't need to tell us this information, because we are already aware.